funky sound you hear is brought to you by Ben Sound at www.bensound.com. You know that as my buffer song. It's good to have it played back. And I am now back for my third show for today. And today, or I should say now, is the common take on NXT, our weekly review of NXT. I'll also be talking Royal Rumble, Monday Night Raw, and NXT news coming up for the next TakeOver show, which will be, I believe, in April, WrestleMania weekend. It's a big show WWE has planned for that event. But first, NXT. NXT, January 27, 2016, from Full Sail University, and the show opens with a graphic for the triple threat match tonight between Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, and Samoa Joe. We start off with the newly branded team, American Alpha, as their match against Blake and Murphy starts off the show. I'm just going to say this now, Blake and Murphy's music sucks. I guess I just never paid attention to it before, but this music is horrible. Thankfully, to help distract from this horrible music, Alexis Bliss makes her way to the ring as well. Anyway, the bell rings, and this is one of the most annoying things I really don't like when referees do this. I see it more in WWE than in any other company. The ref will signal for the bell as soon as the music is over. Yet, as he rings the bell, all four men are in the ring, and so is Alexa Bliss. Don't know why. Just clear the ring and ring the bell. You don't have to ring the bell to get your face noticed there. No one's paying attention, but that's a little small thing just irks me. So Jason Jordan starts the match against Murphy. The American Alpha chant has already caught on with NXT, but then again, it is the NXT crowd, and chants are want to do in this crowd. Quickly, we get a tag in to Gable, and Gable shows off why many, including myself, believe him to be a bright future inside the company. Just so fluid, makes everything look so effortlessly, and the man just has charisma oozing out everywhere. That didn't sound right. We're gonna forget I said that. Man, I'm starting to get a bunch of messages here. And in case you didn't listen to the show earlier, GSP is making a return or possibly making a return to UFC, and I've just been getting message upon message from people I haven't talked to in a long time who are excited to see GSP. Anyway, back to this match. The heat spot really comes when Gable has Murphy back into the corner, after a move, Murphy comes up selling his knee. Referee goes over to check on him. They kind of drag this out. It's pretty apparent that this is all, just a ruse to get the heat. But, they took their time there and they really tried to get you to believe that something may be wrong with Murphy. Just at that moment, Blake jumps up on the apron and Murphy hits Gable with a chop block and we get the heat. Now, I will tell you, other than Gable just being fluid in his movements and just oozing with charisma everywhere, again, I shouldn't say it, but I might as well keep going with it now that I did. He's a great babyface in peril. Heat up on Gable for a while, and we get the prolonged waiting for the hot tag of Jordan on the apron. He finally gets it. Jordan comes in like a ball of fire, and if you've seen one Jason Jordan come back, you've seen them all. There was no difference here. Jordan hits a belly to belly on Murphy and throws him right on top of Blake. This immediately goes to their finish with the lift right into the bridging suplex for the win. The match itself wasn't a great match, but it continues the storyline of of Gable and Jordan, or the American Alpha, getting wins over former NXT Tag Champions, and that's really what the story of this match is. Backstage, we have Emma and Dana for an interview. I really must not have been paying attention before until I started doing these podcasts, but I think it's become apparent to Triple H and some of the other executives working behind the scenes at NXT that, these backstage interview people don't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. So, Alex goes to ask a question. Dana immediately cuts him off. And basically the point of this promo was they were both running down Carmella. It's announced that Carmella and Emma are having a match next week. They get a line where they bring up that Carmella has lost the blue pants and then ask, does she even work for the company? Which is a great line. For those who don't know, no, blue pants does not work for NXT. They announced that, like I said, they announced that Emma and Carmella will be having a match next week. And then Dana proceeds to utter the following line. Bada bing, unluckiest chick in the ring. So clever. She's so proud of herself. And as they leave, she pats Alex on the head. This was fine. Nothing special, nothing great, nothing terrible. Just moving along the storyline. Up next, we have highlights from Sami Zayn and the Royal Rumble from this past Sunday. This also led me to a question. This was not your typical Rumble match. Obviously, the winner of the match would be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And as I reported as I discussed a couple weeks ago, Sami Zayn said his ultimate goal was to be the first ever 2-time NXT champion. So I almost kind of wonder what would have happened if Sami had won the Rumble match. Would he then continue to work NXT and try to become a really an undisputed champion for the company? That's something that, maybe could have been mentioned, maybe could have been brought up, but maybe I'm the only one that thought about it. We also get promos for new WWE programming coming up. One of the shows, Ride Along, is already premiered, and I'll give you a little bit of my feelings on that one later. Well, what I want to point out is the Edge and Christian show. I love both these guys. Edge is obviously one of the best heels that the company has ever had. Fantastic wrestler, former world champion. Christian was one of my favorite wrestlers. Just charismatic with the peeps and great interview. Did a great wrestling career in TNA and WWE. Love both these guys. They're funny together. They've been funny in the past, but this looks like it's going to be horrible. I don't know if I'm going to watch this. I might wait for one of you guys to tell me if there's something worth watching. But the Edge and Christian show, I think I will pass on. Asuka, a little bit of a promo video here. And that leads us right up to our next match, which is Nia Jax out with Eva Marie. And there will be no Eva Marie rant this week. She did nothing but basically come out and smile. So nothing to say here. And her opponent's already in the ring is Liv Morgan. For those who do not remember Liv Morgan, she is the one I said that looks like Alexa Bliss, dresses and talk like Carmella, and is incredibly annoying with whatever noise she makes with her mouth. This was a nothing match. It was pretty much a squash. It was a very long, oh my God, this Cobra clutch spot. It felt like Nia held on to this Cobra clutch for about 6 years. Liv gets a couple of, drop kicks as a small comeback. It's a classic big guy versus little guy match. Nia then hits her with a sidewalk slam, gets the leg drop, gets the pin. As squashes go, this was not of the good variety, not of the dominating variety. It just wasn't that good. Backstage, we have Carmella, Enzo, and Cass. What I like most about this segment is when Carmella speaks and then Cass will come in here a little after her, is they both mentioned, I heard your comments, I saw what you said. So at least we know that Enzo, Cass, and Carmella watched the show. Now some of you might go, well, of course they do. Just think about some past WWE angles where we've made the person on camera look stupid for not paying attention to the show that they're on. So I just wanted to point out when something's done right, which is here, it's a good thing. Carmella says pretty much nothing here. She says next week she's going to prove the doubters wrong and beat Emma. Cass is up next, obviously furthering the story along with him and Enzo against the Mechanics. Cass has a pretty bad line here. Something to the effect of the Mechanics have been stuffing because they have a lot of fluff behind their belts. Kind of a play on what the Mechanics said last week. Then he throws in a line about them running on a treadmill. Uh, this will come up a little bit later in the show, but a lot of references to being fat on the show. Apparently, in NXT, we're not a fan of fat people. Then Enzo begins to speak. This starts off so weird. Enzo starts talking, and he's looking off camera. Bear in mind, both Cass and Carmella are looking directly in the camera as if to talk to the person they're talking about. Not Enzo. Enzo's looking clear to his left. I don't know if he was reading a cue card. I don't know if he was trying to convey how angry he was, but it looked weird. And again, this may be one of those times where it's just me and I'm reading way too much into it. I don't know what the hell happened here. And Enzo begins to talk. He says he had a bad Christmas because he didn't have the title. He was still pissed, or he's been pissed since London. And he almost whooped the guy who was pumping his gases at the gas station because, we're still a PG show. There was more yelling here. It was more angry. It was good. It was fine. And then they left. The Vaudevillains heel promo aired again. And this led to what was the start of maybe the best part of this show. Now, I know some of you are going, well, the main event had Zayn, Joe, and Corbin. That was good too, but up next what we had Bull Dempsey come out, and he's in his boxing robe, and as he comes to the ring, he's doing calisthenics, he's stretching, he's jumping, he's shadowboxing. Like I said, it was a while in there where I didn't watch NXT faithfully, so I guess I missed the whole Bull fit trend. But if it's been as good as this, I am disappointed in myself for not keeping up with this. Anyway, as Graves gets down to the ring, as Bull Dempsey gets down to the ring, Graves utters out a line that I thought was hilarious. Right? He said, "It's a good thing. Bull's the exact same weight he was before the holidays. It shows discipline." I don't know why I found it funny. I've also lost a little weight since the holidays too. So, obviously I'm working a little bit harder than Bull. But this is another little nitpick I have, small little nitpick. So Bull is in the ring. He's clearly having a match, and the announcers have no idea who his opponent is, which is so reminiscent of WCW with their ever-changing script. But obviously it's not the same thing, but it just makes the announcers look incompetent. Anyway, the music hits, and it's Alex Riley, complete with a brand new hairdo. Looking in great shape. Looks cut, looks in great shape. At this point, Bull is in the ring doing cartwheels. Fuck it. Just going to do a cartwheel. The announcers are shocked that Riley is back, obviously. He hits the ring. And the last time I checked, Riley was in a feud with Kevin Owens and was clearly the babyface. In this match, he's playing the heel, which I thought was very interesting. At one point, as he's beating the hell out of Bull, he shouts, "Is this what NXT has come to?" Which is clearly a heel line. This match is, Riley beats the hell out of Bull. There's not much to it. Bull gets a small little comeback with some straight lefts, and the crowd starts to chant Bull. Riley hits a big spine buster, a raising knee for the pin. This is damn near a squash, but this was a fun one. Riley had a lot of charisma here. And as I wrote that this Riley thing might get interesting. And this was just the beginning part. But first, we got the fucking Drifter on his guitar. Elias Samson is next. I wanted to jump out of a window. But first, before we got to the Drifter, we got Riley backstage in a very dark and kind of eerie setting. Basically, he states he's been in contact with WWE for the last 4 months with an exact return date that he'd be coming back. He says that with all the months of him contacting WWE, he hasn't gotten not one response. He mentioned by name that Sami Zayn had a hype video for 3 weeks announcing his return date. He says that he's been watching a lot of WWE programming and even know what Apollo Crews had for breakfast. But there was absolutely nothing about Alex Riley. look, I'm not gonna sit here and try to reenact this promo, but Alex Riley was really good here. This was really good. This is one of them times I'm gonna tell you, go out of your way and find this promo. And it's even better if you find the match against Bull and then this promo. This Alex Riley thing might be interesting. I'm not really sure where he slots in the NXT pecking order, but this does wonders for him. I thought he did a fantastic job. Kudos, Alex. Welcome back. The Drifter is next. I remember the last show I did a review on the Drifter. I was saying how excited I was to see him, and I didn't see his debut. And at the end of seeing him for the first time, I was very disappointed. I was damn near in tears with boredom from his last appearance. Entrance is no different. He prods his way to the ring, perches himself on the turnbuckle, removes his clothing like a stripper. This week his opponent is, I think the announcer said John Skylar. I didn't care too much to go back and double check. I didn't figure it was important. And it wasn't. This is another squash match. But unlike the last time where it looked like there was a botched move or miscommunication and it made the match much worse, this was just a straight ass kicking. Not much to it. Skylar did hit a right hand, and it was so fucking loud. And I'm not sure if there was something wrapped on his hand or if there was something that was on Elias Samson, but something went flying after he lands his right hand. But just a beautiful right hand. Can't say enough about this right hand. Immediately following that, Samson hits another looks like a flying knee, and then hits a swinging net breaker for the pin. It happened a few times on this show, but this one was the worst example of just the NXT crowd. I don't know whether they just don't know what to think, like I am, or they were bored, or they didn't give a shit. But it's pretty rare that the NXT crowd is quiet, and they were dead at the end of this match. I hope they put this man in a program soon and progress his storyline, because right now it's kind of infuriating. When you look at Samson, he's got a great body, he's got a great look, and the character can really be something, but there's just something missing, and it comes across as very dull and boring. So the quicker they can get him into some type of feud or rivalry, I think would actually be a lot better for him. Speaking of things that could be a lot better, Hype Bros with Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder backstage. They're talking about the Vaudevillains promo package. At first, I wasn't exactly following why they were bringing up a package from earlier in the night, but as we learned later on, they have a match with the Vaudevillains next week. Now, I wrote some notes here. A lot of them are negative. This is totally skippable. This team just does not have any chemistry, and I feel terrible for Zack Ryder. We got the main event up next. First, we have a video package that's highlighting Finn Balor and Apollo Crews from 2 months ago, and kind of showing us where we are with that. And it's announced that next week, Finn Balor will be taking on Apollo Crews in a non-title match. So we get the match. At the beginning, the heels look to gang up on Sami Zayn until Corbin hits Joe from behind. Corbin beats up on Zayn for a little bit. Zayn then dumps Corbin to the outside, hits a dive, or goes to hit a dive, but Joe grabs his legs, pulls him out from out underneath the ring. Joe then hits a big boot on Corbin. It's your typical triple threat match where one guy will take his time on the outside or be selling on the outside while the other two are going at it, and they switch in and out. I noted here that Joe slaps are awesome, which they are. Joe at one point hits a running senton with Corbin on top of Zayn. Joe sets up Zayn for a muscle buster. Sammy gets out of it. Corbin dumps Joe. Joe then sets up for a superplex. Zayn fights out of that. Hits a blue thunder bomb on Corbin, which is impressive in and of itself for a near fall. This leads us kind of to going back and forth now to the finish. Zayn goes for a sharpshooter on Corbin, has it set in right in the middle of the ring as Joe is stuck on the outside. Corbin looks like he's going to tap, but just as he does, Samoa Joe jumps in and applies a crossface while Zayn still has on the sharpshooter. Corbin taps, and the ref rings the bell. I have to stop here. Now, when they did this finish, obviously it's supposed to lead us into another match between Joe and Zayn. And it's obviously being done because we have the Finn Balor and Apollo Crews match coming up. So you're just prolonging who the contender is. I get all that. So it removes Corbin from the title picture. Get all that too. Here's my problem. Both men have on a submission hold, both Joe and Zayn. Corbin taps. Why did the ref ring the bell? At this point, you have two men that have the rightful place of being the winner of the match. This is one of those times where I get why it happened, and it's happened in the past. We are so far beyond that, and we've seen it so many times. I would have loved to see at this point, as Regal did come out later, I would love to see Regal comes out and just says, hey, Corbin, you're out of the match. It's Joe and it's Zayn. Match is back on. But we didn't get that here. We get the confusion. Both Joe and Zayn think they won. They're both pleading to the ref. The ref is just repeatedly looking at both of them and said there was a tap. Both men already know this. The crowd knows this. This goes on for a long-ass time. Then finally Regal comes out. Both men plead their case to Regal. And then Regal says the most infuriating line of the night for me. I have to go back and review the tape. Regal, if you were watching the match, I was watching the match. The crowd was watching the match. The ref knew exactly what went on. Both men have on a submission hold. The other guy tapped. What's there to review? There is no split decision or split second decision where Corbin's sitting there and he taps out to one and not the other. He didn't look at the ref and say, hey, I'm tapping out to the crossface and not the sharpshooter, or vice versa. That's not what happened. Plain and simple, both men had on a submission and he tapped. What review? Then Samoa Joe echoed my sentiments exactly by yelling very audibly in front of the camera, there is nothing to review. Now I understand why I became a Samoa Joe fan 10 years ago. Joe then goes on to make an even better point, which then puts me further on Samoa Joe's side. Joe jumps to the outside, gets in Regal's face, and says, as soon as I got that crossface in, Corbin tapped. I cranked it. I'm the winner. And to be fair to Joe, Zayn did have on that sharpshooter, but Corbin had not tapped. He had been in it for about a minute or so and was not tapping, and did not do so until Joe put in a crossface. So if we're going to go by the logic of we need to see the replay, then I guess Joe is the winner. But we go off the air with confusion over who's the number one contender. But we do have matches announced for next week. As I said earlier, we have Carmella versus Emma, Vaudevillains versus the Hype Bros, Balor versus Crews, and apparently Williams Regal's decision for next week. I hope to God this never gets done again, or if they do this finish, just announce both men are the winners and move the fuck on with those two competing against each other. This was infuriating, and it made Regal look like a total asshat. So, I'm not the type to give spoilers on my show. I really want to, though, because this TakeOver card coming up in April looks phenomenal. What I will share, though, is that there are a couple of faces that could be moving up to the main roster rather quickly. And I'm going to use Dave Meltzer at WrestlingObserver.com as a source. But apparently Samoa Joe is being earmarked to move to the main roster, along with Sami Zayn and possibly Bayley as well. Now, obviously, Bayley is still the NXT Women's Champion. So if she were to be called up, she would be losing that title here shortly. And if you already seen the NXT spoilers, you know what storyline she will be involved in around WrestleMania. Sami Zayn has an opponent also at NXT TakeOver, and that is a huge surprise. And if you want to find out who that is, I will refer you to my website, the Common Man Podcast.weebly.com, just in case you don't want a spoiler, but it'll be up there for those who do. And Samoa Joe right now is in contendership for the World Heavyweight or for the NXT title. So those are the three names that are being mentioned as possibly being brought up to the main roster soon. So I was unable to record a show after the Royal Rumble. Things got a little hectic for me here at the house. Work's kicking my ass. A lot of things going on here, but I did get to see the last man standing match between Ambrose and Kevin Owens, the women's championship match, and the Royal Rumble match itself. And at this point, you have the network and you've seen it, or you've heard about, I don't know, 6 or 7 other podcasts breaking these down. So just giving you my thoughts. I believe the last man standing match was a great match. Wasn't expecting anything less out of these two. I thought the finish worked great. I thought they put the right guy over, and it played until later on in the Royal Rumble match with Dean Ambrose getting the win. The women's championship match with Charlotte and Becky Lynch. I've seen these two wrestle. They obviously had matches in NXT. I'm not sure why exactly some of this isn't being, I guess, displayed on the main roster, how great these matches were. But, I mean, this was a very good match. And unlike some of these Divas matches, and I really hate using that term, this one had some heat. Crowd was very much into it. Ric Flair at the end, as Becky has a disarmer on Charlotte, throws his jacket in the ring, which distracts Becky, which leads to Charlotte retaining the title. At that point, the music hits for maybe the second biggest pop of the night for Sasha Banks as she comes out. She immediately pushes Becky to the outside, teases reforming. I'm not sure what the tag team name was for Charlotte and Sasha, but they teased doing a reformation of that. As Charlotte goes to leave the ring, Sasha hits the backcracker, rolls that into the bank statement, and it looks like we were off to go on that part of the feud. But if you got a chance to check out SmackDown, Becky Lynch is still involved in this storyline, and that tends to let me think that it's probably going to be a triple threat between Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte at Fastlane, which is I hope where they go. I think Becky has the second part of this storyline with Charlotte. Becky has shown us she's really, really strong, not only on the mic, but just kind of in her character. So I don't want to see her out of the title picture just yet. So I'm glad if she's going to be involved in the triple threat. Now, as far as the Rumble goes, let me get the good out the way. AJ Styles obviously debuted, as everyone knows by now. While some sites were reporting that WWE, whether this is true or not, weren't too. They weren't sure how the fans would react to AJ Styles. If people would know him, if he would get a pop, if he'd be met with silence. I never had a doubt. Obviously, the Orlando area is not only at one point kind of a mini home for TNA, but a lot of those fans that are in Orlando, obviously, or at some point, are probably NXT fans who are pretty hardcore fans, and AJ Styles has been well known for well over a decade. I was never worried about that at all. I thought AJ looked great in the match, really held his own, other than being kind of tiny, which when I saw him next to Roman Reigns, I almost vomited because I thought Vince would probably fire the guy on the spot. But I thought he looked good. Got some stuff in and teased the Styles Clash a couple of times, which got a pop just about every time he went for it. And finally, he got dumped by Kevin Owens. And I'm in that same school of thought as Brian Alvarez, which is if you're going to have someone eliminate AJ Styles, Kevin Owens was the right guy to do it. AJ was clearly probably the most over person in the Royal Rumble. And you could have easily made the mistake of having the wrong person eliminate him and have the fear of what happened last year where the fans completely shit on the rest of the match. By having Owens do it, you kind of spared that, and they did a good job of planning it that way. And I hope it does lead to a match between the two. I would think that Kevin Owens and AJ Styles would be phenomenal on pay-per-view. So hopefully we get that here in the near future. Now, we got through the good. Let's get to the bad. First off, number 3 is about to enter the Rumble. And we get a close-up of Roman Reigns. And the camera's on him. And his music plays. And then the crowd pops. And all of a sudden, AJ's just out there. And I know this has been talked about to death on other podcasts, but this really pissed me off. Not only because I've not had the time to kind of go on YouTube and see what the actual entrance video was and see the crowd's reaction at that point, but I shouldn't have to go work for something that the WWE just fucking missed. And God, this pissed me off. Another thing, the whole concept of the match to begin with the one versus all title on the line, whoever leads is the champion. I hated this from the beginning because I thought there was ways you could get Roman to where you wanted him to be at anyway without this stipulation. Now I understand guys are hurt and they had to redo things on the fly and make changes and things like that. But at the end of the day, Triple H wins the match. He's the surprise entrant at number 30. And then to fast forward, Reigns comes out the next night. They're so happy to finally get the belt off the guy. Yet they announce at Fastlane in a triple threat match for the number one contendership. Guess who's in the match? Roman Reigns. There was a way to make this work. And I thought it was pretty simple from the time that I began hearing rumors of Triple H winning the Rumble match itself. It's really simple. You can have Hunter win the match. Roman calmly comes out the next night. I want my rematch. Am I the only one who thought that was the obvious thing to do? Hey, you beat me in this match? Great. I have a rematch clause. I'll see you at Mania. And you have 2 months to build. But no, 28 writers couldn't come up with that. We had to get this long drawn out thing, which makes the Authority look stupid for even putting him in a match when they didn't have to. More of the bad. And this is both bad and good. So apparently WWE's back in this thing of we got to build the Wyatts up strong. And there's rumors floating around that the match is Bray versus Brock at Mania and Braun Strowman versus The Undertaker. So this Rumble got we have to push the Wyatt family strong. And so Brock hits the ring and Brock does what he does. He's suplexing bitches. He's laying people out. Except Strowman, who can't take a suplex. And not only can he not take a suplex, I guess he doesn't know how to take a clothesline either. And when I saw Brock go for this clothesline and Braun not go down, I literally said to myself, oh shit, Brock's going to kill this man. Brock proceeded to beat the hell out of Braun Strowman for the rest of the time he's there. That part was great. This part's what's bad. What bothers me, and I've only heard one person necessarily bring this up, but Brock eliminates all 3 members of the Wyatt family as Bray is one of the next to come out. So I get that the Rumble's a non-DQ match. So the fact that the Wyatt family jump back in the ring and beat up on Brock is perfectly fine. However, the 3 men then toss Brock over the top rope. That's right, 3 eliminated people, not Bray, who's legally in the match. Bray didn't lift a finger to throw out Brock. Just the 3 dorks that got eliminated. They all threw out Brock, but somehow this is legal. I'm not going to think too hard about this. It'll make my brain hurt. And then Brock, who, mind you, if he wins this match, is the new World Heavyweight Champion. The championship he never got defeated for in the first place. Just goes to the back. Just fuck it. Walks to the back. Looks at the ring a couple times, just walks to the back. I don't get this. I can't believe Paul Heyman let this go. I can't believe Brock let this go. I can't believe anyone with a brain thought this was a great idea. But speaking of great ideas, Roman enters obviously the Rumble at number 1. There comes a spot where the League of Nations all pull him from underneath the ring as opposed to, all jumping in the ring. And apparently they could have just threw Roman over the top rope themselves. They didn't have to be in the match to eliminate him. They pull Roman from underneath the ropes, beat him up pretty bad there, lay him out. And I mean, everyone's talking about this. Roman then starts to get stretchered to the back. And, it's the fiery baby face. He gets off. You're not stretchering me out, damn it. My title's on the line. I can walk to the back. And he walks to the back. I'm not sure what he did back there. I started a thread on the Cult of Kayfabe Facebook group. I personally think he wanted to make sure he got backstage first to buy the AJ Styles t-shirts before they sold out. He might have got one. I believe they were sold out right towards the end of the Rumble match. So maybe Roman was on that stretcher and said, look, I got to go. I got to make sure I can get this t-shirt order in. But he disappears. He comes back much later on in the match. Doesn't sell shit. Just punching fuckers in the face. Absolutely nothing wrong with him. Couldn't even come out selling a thing like a slow walk to the ring. being held back by officials. No, just fucking runs and punches Sheamus right in the face. Oh my God. So, Raw on Monday, we get the announcement of the triple threat for the number one contendership. Couple other things get set up on Raw, which, Raw was a good show. The Rock obviously was there. Definitely helped with the ratings. The ratings were up. They were up big, but they weren't up as past Royal Rumble or post Royal Rumble Raws normally draw. But the ratings were definitely up. The show now, we're fully in the WrestleMania season. So I expect the shows at this point to be a lot better, and we'll see how that goes. So with that said, I am way past. I don't know if y'all noticed this or not. I try to keep these shows well under 30 minutes. Try to keep it under 25 if I could, and I'm way past that time now. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I will be back in the next few days talking SmackDown and giving you a little bit more insight on where I think WrestleMania is going. We got some storylines that are kind of just floating out there. We'll see how they shape up over the next several weeks. But no matter how you're listening to the show, there are tons of different ways to listen. SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, YouTube. I have them everywhere. Our website, thecommonmanpodcast.weebly.com. You can check out news, little clippings I find, notifications on upcoming shows, as well as our new Facebook page. That's the Common Man Podcast on Facebook. You'll find all information there. Make sure you like and get notifications so you know when the next show is coming out. And there's now a new YouTube channel, the Common Man Podcast on YouTube. All my podcast episodes will be available up on YouTube. Normally, I try to get them up the next a few hours after I record the show, but they definitely are up before the next day. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. If you like the show, please share, comment, review, all that good stuff. Spread the word. Go to the website, buy some merch, support, show your support for the show. And with that, I want to thank you guys so much for listening. Peace and chicken grease.